social media continuously makes it seem that racism is the biggest issue in America, even though, the whole open border thing is a problem and crime is going up and also banks are closing down, people are unable to buy houses. But no, with the titles in their news articles that they post online, they just make it seem that black people are being unjustly persecuted. And one that was sensationalized was when a man out of Texas was given 70 years for quote unquote spitting on police officers. But if you did a little research into that situation, like just a little bit of research, you would see that no, this was a career criminal who deserved what happened to him.
We were talking about a case out of Lubbock, Texas, where a man gets 70 years for spitting on a police officer. Charles, tell us when you first hear this. I mean, do you think this too extreme of a conviction?
Well, it seems like an incredibly outsized sentence, right? We have a relatively new offense in terms of the penal code, of harassment of a public official that involves putting semen, urine, feces or saliva, which seems like it's the least of all the options on a public servant. And it's a third degree felony, which means typically you're looking at up to a $10,000 fine and 2 to 10 years in prison. In this instance, because the defendant had already been to prison on 2 prior third degree or more charges, I think one was aggravated robbery and one was a felony family violence, that his punishment was raised as a habitual offender, which means his punishment range was 25 as a minimum to life as a maximum. And you combine both of those situations in a conservative jury in Lubbock County, and you got what is obviously a markedly unusual and seems to be somewhat unfair result.
Yeah, it reads that the prosecutor asked the jury to consider a number that would send a message to
Right.
society. You think that this is going to set a precedence on how people interact with police?
Well, I think a lot of people are ignoring, because it makes a great headline, right? But a lot of people are ignoring the fact that there was other issues in this incident. A woman ran up to officers claiming that Mr. Pearson was armed with a weapon. It turned out to be an airsoft gun, and had just punched her repeatedly in the face. So you have a man who's already been convicted of felony family violence, as alleged to have assaulted another woman. He was allegedly carrying what she believed was a firearm, right? And he didn't just spit on the officers once. He spit on them repeatedly until he was arrested, and then when he got to the station, he continued to do so. So I think it sounds like the defense attorney argued to the jury that this was just a misdemeanor gone awry, and clearly that argument didn't resonate. This is a lifelong criminal who has done some very horrible things, and it seems like maybe he's paying a much greater sentence than any of us would expect, and that does seem absolutely absurd, but not for this one incident, but for a lifetime of violent crime.
So yeah, if you did a little bit of digging, you can see that this man didn't get 70 years for spitting on police officers. He was actually in the midst of a crime, which we should never skip over. This man was a felon already. He was robbing an individual with a firearm. I understand there was an airsoft gun, but the person he was robbing didn't know it was an airsoft gun. And also, he punched this woman in the face multiple times. Men shouldn't punch women in the face. I don't I don't know what's wrong with this generation and not understanding that, but trans stuff and all that good stuff. But he was in the wrong, and it's kind of upsetting that social media makes it seem like this man just got 70 years because he spit on police officers. No, he was a career criminal, and he kind of deserved this sentence. All you had to do was just look at what happened, just do a little bit of research on it. And then what happened out in Fulton County, Georgia, where a man was eaten alive by bed bugs, and it turned into a whole race thing because he was a black man in jail who was arrested on a crime.
Family of a man who died at the Fulton County Jail is now demanding action.
They say he was essentially eaten alive by insects and bed bugs while in custody. Tracy A. McPierce spoke with him just hours ago. She's joining us now live from the Fulton County Courthouse. Tracy?
Well, LaShawn Thompson had been held in the psych wing of the jail for 3 months when an officer found him unresponsive in his cell. His family tells me by that point, they couldn't even recognize him.
He was definitely a heavy-set guy, and from those pictures, he looks totally different. He's not the same person.
Brad McCrae says these pictures of his brother that he shared with us, 35-year-old LaShawn Thompson, are hard to look at. His cell at the Fulton County Jail covered in filth, and his body covered in sores and bites from bed bugs and lice.
It looked like he wasn't eating in jail, or malnutrition, or maybe the bed bugs did it.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner report lists his cause of death as undetermined, but noted a severe bed bug infestation. The family says Thompson was brought to the jail on a misdemeanor simple battery charge in June and was put in the psych wing because the jail was aware of his schizophrenia. They are now demanding the jail be closed and law enforcement open a criminal investigation.
So we need a change in the system.
The Fulton County Sheriff's Office told 11 Alive its Office of Professional Standards is investigating Thompson's death and will determine if criminal charges are warranted. The agency wouldn't speak to us on camera today, but said in a statement it spent $500,000 to address an infestation of bedbugs, lice, and other vermin after Thompson's death, and updated security rounds to include addressing sanitary conditions. And the family's attorney tells me they're doing their own investigation to determine if the bug bites caused the infection that killed Thompson. They say if they get that proof, they intend to sue.
Very disturbing, Tracy. Thanks for the update.
So let's be honest. This situation in particular has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with people being incompetent and are unable to do their job. And also us as a society are unable to talk about mental illness. Like, we're still blaming guns for mass shootings and not blaming the simple fact that people are actually a little off. And we can't even talk about it because you will get like a strike on YouTube or they'll ban you on TikTok. But let's be honest. People have been taking drugs. They've been locked in the house. And they don't even know how to socialize with one another because everything they do is on the internet or through video games. And then you can talk about the incompetence of it all with just the police squad. During the Black Lives Matter riots, a lot of good officers quit their jobs. And a lot of people who remained on the force were people who just wanted to collect a paycheck and didn't care anything about upholding the Constitution. Because come on, let's be honest. A person eaten by bed bugs, this is unheard of. This is nothing but being negligible. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think racism is the biggest problem? Or do you think that it's just a distraction for the American people to go at it against one another? And let's not talk about the actual issues like crime going up, having open borders, the whole mental illness thing. People are unable to buy houses. Banks are closing down. Food is being depleted. They lied to us about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and they locked up the whistleblower who came out and told the truth about it. And the whole World War III thing. I'm your host TJ Evans with another installment of the TJ Evans Show. Y'all remember to do the YouTube and Rumble thing, and subscribe to the Royal Family Studios page. Don't buy Bud Light, and Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. And check out my book on Amazon, The Diary of Marvin, DeWayne. Y'all stay safe, stay prayed up. Don't take my word for gold. Peace.